Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you're a focused learner looking to literally understand the absolute leading edge of developmental theory, well, you're in the perfect place today. We're looking at a completely revolutionary approach to education and healthcare, proposed by a newly formed organization. They're presenting what they call a blueprint for human flourishing, and it's specifically aimed at supporting neurodivergent youth. Okay, let's dive into this. The source material anchors its entire philosophy on one incredibly provocative question. What if education could move a child out of survival mode and into fathomless potential? We so often think of education as just a process of stuffing information into a child's brain, sometimes while they're visibly struggling just to navigate an environment that simply wasn't built for them. But this framework, it asks what would actually happen if the system itself was designed from the ground up to shift their baseline biology. And that brings us right to the BodyMind Connection Children's Trust. This is a newly formed charity, and they are deeply, deeply committed to the integrated well-being and education of neurodivergent children and young people. Their ultimate goal, as they outline in their materials, is to establish specialized schools and really comprehensive care systems all over the globe, rooted entirely in their foundational principles. Part 1. The Body-Mind Philosophy, Integrating Emotional Memory and Biological Function. So, the trust's theory goes way beyond your typical pedagogy. Think of the nervous system like a massively overwhelmed circuit board. Their approach aims to completely rebalance that board by fully integrating emotional memories. By entirely respecting the neurobiological needs of the individual, the organization believes this actually accelerates healthy biological function. It leads to this sort of evolutionary flow state, which they assert is a fundamental requirement for the full health, well-being, and happiness of every single human being. Now, what's really interesting here is the stark contrast they draw between a survival mode and a flourishing state. In survival mode, a neurobiological mismatch literally forces a child into a defensive state. They're just trying to make it through the day, right? The whole goal of this framework is to scientifically transition individuals away from that exhausting defensive baseline and into a restorative, truly healthful, flourishing state. It's really about securing a quality of life that's enriched by reliable, constant support. Part 2. Empowering neurodivergent young people. Targeted education and healthcare. The trust is zeroing in on creating collaborative schools that provide highly targeted care specifically for young people with autism, ADHD, IDHD, or other profound neurobiological health needs. And it's actually kind of surprising when you look at traditional education data, so many legacy systems still treat neurodivergence as an afterthought rather than a core design principle. The profound belief here is that once these specific communities are finally lifted out of survival mode and supported properly, their true nature is just going to naturally emerge. According to the trust, when that true nature actually does emerge, their primary goal is realized. They call it learning naturally from within. Instead of, forcing external, rigid standards onto a student, this approach describes a restorative creativity and well-being state. It's a fully scientifically backed methodology that simply allows innate talent and ability to naturally surface, in complete accordance with the individual's own primary needs. Part 3. The Children's Trust Vision, Scaling Restorative Care. Let's move to and see exactly how this builds. They have a massive operational blueprint to scale this care up in 3 distinct steps. Step 1 is funding specialist scientists in research and development to make sure absolutely everything remains scientifically rendered. Step 2 is actually building collaborative, specialized schools globally alongside really comprehensive homeschooling systems. And finally, Step 3 aims to provide curriculum materials, training, and conversion programs for schools that are already established. This is purposefully designed to reach neurodiverse youth within our existing educational frameworks, fundamentally improving their health outcomes across the board. Part 4. A global educational revolution, transforming the entire future of the planet. When you really step back and look at the scale of those steps, it hits you. The founders aren't just talking about adding a few new classrooms. They firmly believe that the core foundations of the body-mind connection are highly beneficial to absolutely every human being the world over. By revolutionizing education and healthcare, they aim to transform not just individuals, but the entire future of the planet. Now, transforming the future of the planet is no small feat, but the founders believe it is absolutely not impossible. It starts today, right here, with each person recognizing that they can play a part in this massive change. Part 5. Building the future together. We are seeking visionary partners today. So the crucial point is this. To actually open these schools globally and roll out these massive training and conversion programs, the source material is issuing a huge open call. The BodyMind Connection Children's Trust states they are actively seeking high-level talent and investment today. They are specifically looking for trustees, investors, specialists in charity organization, fundraising experts, legal and governance professionals, neuroscientists, and specialist children's educators to help build this incredible future together. Ultimately, the Trust's whole philosophy hinges on this one powerful idea. Our freedom, our well-being, and our highest creative joy is already ours. We literally only need to choose it for ourselves. They argue that no matter how small you might believe yourself to be, you can play a critical part. By choosing to lend your skills or your resources to this cause, you help unlock that freedom and flow state not just for these young people, but for the entire global community. The source material leaves us with an incredibly bold claim. A new future for all humankind is born. By moving our youth out of survival mode, they deeply believe we can build a completely new human paradigm. So the question I want to leave you with today is this. If the blueprint for a flourishing future is already right in front of us, what part will you choose to play in actually building it? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep seeking out the ideas that challenge the status quo, and I'll catch you next time.